Okay, so in this video we're actually going to push our message on our chat box so it can now work like a real chat, like dynamic. So first we're going to have to pull the message from the database using the ID that we sent over our broadcasting. So here just type broadcasted message. It will be equals to, put the message model here, double colon, type find, and then here we're going to get the message ID from here. So event, add some brackets there, and then in here we're going to type message, right, because it's coming from here. Okay, so after creating this, like, we want to now create a logic. We want to check if the user has our conversation selected, because if the user is chatting with another user, we don't want to update anything because the chat is not open. Like, what I'm trying to say is, for example, let's go back here. Let me just choose this user. So if I send a message to Cake saying super, so the message is gonna show here. It says showing right now. But if I also unselect the chat, like for example I refresh and then I also send the message saying super again, you see the message is still gonna show. Right now, of course, it's showing to the right user, it's not sending to a different user. Here, for example, if I say, let me try to open a new, like another browser in Safari. Yeah, if I open Safari here, and then you see, this is also another user. But just to show you that the messages are going to the right person and not to every user in the database. Yeah, so if I try to send a message here to game saying, how is the game? You see that the message is only going to who? The message is only going to game because he's the only user that we are targeting. Here I have this chat open, but there's nothing coming here. So it's only going to one user because in our gate we declared here in our channels for the chat to go to the right person only to fact check if the current logged in user is same as the ID that we send here. So this is the way our logic happens. That's why the message is going to the right person. But here we also have to check if there's an actual conversation selected. So to fix that, we are going to go to our chat box. In here we're going to check if this selected conversation, did this user actually select any conversation at all? If it is true, then we're going to proceed. If false, then we're going to do nothing. So if I put this DD in here, let me show you. I copy it and then I put this in here. Now to show you, if I go back and refresh here, let me just, like, you don't have to refresh anyway, it's back end. So if I send a message saying now, this time saying what is up, you see there'll be nothing here, nothing outputted. Why? Because we have not selected any conversation. But if I click in Cake and then I try to send again saying here, now the message is going to show because we have an actual conversation selected. All right, now the next step, we're going to check if this selected conversation, is it the same as the one that we sent over our broadcasting? So if I go back to the browser here, if I try to, let me try to select game, of course, here Cake. If I send hello, it's gonna show. But if I select another user again, let's say Tom, and then if I send hello, it is still gonna show. So we don't want this. It's coming to the right user, but the wrong chat. You get it? So to make it come to the right chat, we're gonna now check the conversations together if they are right. And if they are right, if I'm opening this Tom and if I'm targeting Tom, of course, the message is gonna pop up here. If it's not, it's not gonna pop up because I'm not targeting this conversation that is coming in. So let me just, for you to understand more, let's just make that into visual. Comment this DD out, and then in here we're gonna now check again if in brackets type int this selected conversation get the ID is equals to open bracket int we're gonna check the conversation from our event, the conversation ID from our event. In here type conversation ID, and you make sure it's what you saved in the message sent here. What is it broadcasted as? Conversation ID, yeah. So here, so this is basically checking if the conversation ID that we selected is the one that we're actually targeting, like this. Here, paste that, comment that out, and then paste it in here. Okay, so now let's go and check. So if we are not clicking on, for example, here I'm logged in as Cake, and then here I'm logged in as Game. So I wanna text who? Game, this guy here. So here, if I try to send a message saying hello, nothing's supposed to show. But if I click on this one saying hello, then something's gonna show. Why? Because every fact check that we have done, every checking has been correct. If I go back to the here, if I refresh actually, and then I click on Tom, if I say hello Tom, it's not gonna show on this user, right? You know why? Because this conversation that I'm chatting here on game is not the same as the current opened conversation. Like everything's now working fine. Let's now push the message to our chat box. And now here I'm gonna comment everything here. Don't worry, I'm gonna leave comments so you can follow the tutorial better. So here, what I'm gonna check, if true, get this broadcasted message. We're gonna mark the message as read. So here I'm gonna get the broadcasted message, get the red column, make it to 1. All right. Remember when we're doing our migrations, we added this in our migration. Here, broadcasted message, save it, comma, and then now what we're gonna do is that we're going to push our message. So we're gonna use this function here. We're gonna call this function here. So here, this push message, you're gonna pass this message ID, broadcasted message ID, so that it can be pushed here, rolled to the bottom and pushed and everything. All right. So if we go back, we just refresh. Here I'm choosing cake and here I'm choosing game. So here if I try to type hello, you see the message is going there, but it is coming as another person's message. All right. So here we gotta fix this. Okay. So here I realize that if you go back to our chat, the wire key works in our favor in most cases, but not in here because it's gonna it has to keep track of the messages. So just remove the wire key in the chat box. All right, then go back, and now if you try, just refresh everything. So if we click our conversations again, and then here click again, so if I type a message here, now it should work, and voila. Okay, so now successfully we have managed to send our message to our other user instantly without polling anything. If you can check, if you can inspect right now in our network, in here there's no polling whatsoever. If you fetch any XHR data, there's no polling happening. Just send the message instantly, and only once it's appearing there. You see, so this is good. We have now successfully managed to send our message to other user. And this is it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.